I finally got to see Godzilla Minus One for the third time, and I stand by what I said before. It is an awesome movie. What's up, YouTubers of the world? MegaGeekMixer here. Finally gotten my chance to now give you guys my spoiler discussion on Godzilla Minus One. Now, I'm pretty sure we've all seen it by now, and for those of you who haven't seen it, you still got a chance to see it because they have once again extended it out here in America in the theaters for at least I think another week. So if you got a chance, go see it for this next week so you can get your chance to see it. But if you're not, then just wait and you just don't care anymore, then, well, this video's for you. But guys, it was great seeing it for the third time, the second time, the first time. All in all, it was awesome. And yes, I guess, like, again, I say, for those of you who haven't seen it, you must see it in the theaters. You must see it in the theaters. Because this is a movie that has to be seen in theaters. But again, understandably, if you can't, that's okay. But I just recommend it. That's all I'm saying. But now having said all that, we must now start talking about the story itself. We'll start with the main man himself, Godzilla. And yes, guys, this Godzilla, pretty much, he was introduced to us in a way I didn't expect that reminded me of Godzilla versus King Ghidorah and the ways of the origins of the Heisei era Godzilla. Because this Godzilla, if I'm not mistaken, first off, he appears in what is Oda Island. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the same island's name from in the original Godzilla movie. And if it is, well, we already know that the people who are behind the scenes who made this movie, they took direct influence off of Godzilla, GMK, and Jaws. They even admitted to that. And yes, I said Jaws. They took influence off of a North American film, and you will see it for yourself if none of y'all haven't seen it. Because yeah, when we get Godzilla during the middle of the film, we are exactly treated to it like it is in Jaws. He's out there in the water, taking on people in boats, and it is just plain crazy. Especially that scene of him chasing those boats and everything. Something we have never seen Godzilla do. That was truly a sight to see. But now having also said that, though, I must also go back into what I said about the influence off of Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, and then the fact that when we first meet Godzilla, he is just like a dinosaur. Mind you, he's not what he looks like when you see him in the trailers when he got much bigger, and yes, that happened due to the atomic testing at Bikini Atoll, just like it showed in later on in the movie. But just still, to see him in that smaller form, in that dinosaur form, it just brought me back to the Godzillasaur back in the Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah movie. And what's even more so was in the fact we see him do something you hardly ever see him do. He bit a human. Not one, not two, but a few humans. Bit them, practically ate them, tossed them away. We never got to see that before. And when I saw that, I was like, are you serious? You're really making us see this? And I wasn't saying it in a negative way. I was just saying the fact that we hardly see this and they're giving us this? No freaking way. That's all I could think of when I was saying that. And then, of course, like I said, the atomic bomb happened and he got bigger and stronger, which then led into the whole Jaws influence of him showing up around in the ocean and stuff, attacking all these ships and everything, one left behind with all his claw marks in there, and then taking on all these smaller ships, and he's just not hesitating. He wants to knock them all out. He wants to destroy them. But this also gives us during that scene, it gave us a chance to see something you hardly ever see with Godzilla. Because, okay, we all know about his abilities, but one ability we hardly ever see in full display is his super regeneration. And that's exactly what we got, as when he was chasing the boat that the main characters were on. They put a landmine, or an ocean landmine in his mouth and blow it up on him. And yes, after blowing up, it looks like he's out, but no, his self-regeneration abilities come in full display as he quickly recovers and goes back on the attack. Yes, guys, the mere fact we actually got to see it in more in detail like never before with this super regenerative power, that already had me hooked. I mean, it was already hooked when I saw him in that dinosaur smaller form, but then for him to come back here and then show off that super regenerative power, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Excuse my language, guys, but that's just how exciting it was to have seen that. And then, of course, when he finally makes it into the city and his classic theme play by Akira Ifukube, that is just truly something that's always stuck with you. Because let's face it, when it comes to the theme, you must hear Godzilla's theme. Especially for people who have never heard it before, going in to see this movie, not being big on Godzilla, it always has to happen. That's why anytime anyone ever messes with the Godzilla fan, if that theme's not in there, it's a crime. A crime, I tell ya. But luckily, they did it here, and just hearing it as he was destroying things and everything was just all too exciting. I could not help but beam and laugh with excitement at everything that was going on. Now, is there to say there's a negativity to him? Well, in a way, yeah. Not in terms of how he was used in the story, just in sort of the movement and how he's moving with how he was made for this movie and stuff. Some parts when he's moving, it looks great. There are other parts where it just looks a little stiff and everything. Mind you that it's not that bad. It's not that bad that it brings the movie down. It's still great, but the best part of all, the atomic breath. It was probably the best atomic breath ever. We've always seen his heat ray, now it's a beam. But this one, charging up those spines as those spines just spike up and everything. And then a big giant swish blast, and then boom! Like an atomic bomb, people. An atomic bomb. That's just telling you what you need to know. And that right there, guys, great stuff on Godzilla and in his final battle with the humans as they are trying to sink him and freeze him and just going all out. And eventually they do beat him, but at the end we see it as influence off of GMK with the fact that his whole body's destroyed, but as it sinks into the ocean, his super regeneration starts to regenerate him, showing that no matter what, Godzilla will always come back. He is destined to walk the earth forever. That's all that you need to know on that end. But now, having said that, though, as I said, there were Easter eggs throughout the film in different ways that are influenced off of Jaws, GMK, Gojira, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and I even found a reminder of Godzilla vs. Destroyer with some themes that were played in that show. It was great stuff. But you guys want to know what also really makes this Godzilla Minus One one of the best Godzilla films ever? It actually gives you a compelling human plot that has always been the struggle in the Godzilla franchise. Not just with America, but the Godzilla franchise in general. It's always had struggles with making compelling human characters that you can care about, that when Godzilla starts attacking and some of them start to die, you should care, but you didn't really get it there. But this film, you do get it. And by golly, it was just incredible. And yes, the main human plot focuses on a kamikaze pilot by the name of Koichi Shikishima. Yeah, Koichi Shikishima. And yeah, the thing with this guy is kamikaze pilot, and I'm pretty sure you guys can figure that out just by the name itself. Makes you know what they do and stuff. And now I gotta say, finding out that was... Now, I was never in war. I never really did details on them, but to find out that you had those type of pilots out there, I was like, that's a little wild. And it was definitely in Koichi here because he was supposed to do his duty, but at the beginning of the film, he fled from it due to the fear of dying and wanting to live just to go back to his family. And that was sticking with him throughout this entire movie. The struggle with PTSD, especially when he first saw Godzilla in that small dinosaur form. He had a chance to shoot him, but he just couldn't. He was terrified. And that unfortunately caused the deaths of some of people on that island except him and another guy by the name of Tachibana-san. And yes, that Tachibana guy just stayed angry with him all throughout until it finally came to the point that they had to put it aside to work together to stop Godzilla. And by then, he was able to willingly help him and see things are different between him with how their mindsets were during the war, post after the war. And yes, Shigashima, with him, he had PTSD all throughout the film due to having survived when he's a kamikaze pilot. He was supposed to die in battle as a pilot, but he chose to flee, and that makes him feel like a coward and survival skill, especially when he returns home to find his home is destroyed, his family is gone, they all died, and all that's left is someone who cared for him and who was a family of the friend, a woman by the name of Sumiko-san. And yes, she even felt that he was a disgrace for coming back alive. But here's the thing, though. Even then, for people who feel ashamed of him for not dying in the war as a kamikaze pilot, as his duty, there were those out there were saying that you have nothing to be ashamed about. And they're not wrong. It's not saying that a kamikaze pilot should do his duties. I mean, yeah, you're a soldier, you should do your duties, but there are others out there who feel the same as you, feeling that you shouldn't just die just to die. You should die for a purpose. And if you don't want to die for a purpose and you want to live for a purpose, you should. That's exactly what this theme is about. Compare different opposite comparison to Godzilla, where people were dying to prevent weapons of mass destruction to be used on a scale so bad that it could leave path and destruction all behind you. In this show, it was all about Shigashima learning to move past his PhD and have the will to live. And in what better way to learn how to find the will to live? Well, by having faith and just make decisions for you. When he had a woman along with an orphan child due to the air raid come into his life, and that being Noriko and Akainu, the orphan child, and they ended up pretty much being his makeshift family. Mind you, he wasn't married to Noriko because he was still having his own war in his head, and because of that, he couldn't marry her, but no matter what, she was still there to help him out and help care for Akio. And that right there, guys, was something. But when it comes to his partner, she wasn't his wife, but Noriko, when she had to face Godzilla, and after that atomic breath thing, and she just pushes him out of the way, and she is presumably dead, but then you find out in the end, she survived. And boy, all I could say is when I saw that, I was like, oh, thank God, because even though they defeated Godzilla, and there's usually only been bittersweet endness and victory if they ever beat Godzilla, there's no really real victory, no happiness in the end. I wanted it for this guy, and I got it. Seeing that there just made me super happy, because when you find out a hint that she's alive, only to find it confirmed, it makes your heart feel with joy, because when I saw it, I was like, no way, is she? And she was. It was amazing. And he also had friends to help him out. Because after the war, he had some friends on that boat, that very boat that Godzilla was chasing them in, that helped them into learning how to move past it and all. That finally, when he was ready to live, that Tachibana guy I mentioned earlier helped him out, saying that you were ready to live. That during the final battle, as he was using that very plane and finally being the pilot he was meant to be, facing all the fears and stuff that was going on in his head mentally, took on Godzilla head on, and yes, made sure to do his duty as a kamikaze pilot, but with a twist, he escapes by ejecting out. That despite being a kamikaze pilot, he didn't die, but he still did his duty by having his plane do the job that it needed. It was by all means a great thing. And that's what I loved about this film. The compelling human plots and how Godzilla, despite not being mostly in there, he still had his moments to show up when he needed to show up here. And the theme of how it's different from the original on how people died to prevent people from using weapons of mass destruction and cause the life of more innocent people. This one is all about moving past your survival skill and your PTSD, thinking you should be ashamed for surviving war and you shouldn't be alive. But no, you should be. You just gotta have to fight through it all and realize why you need to live. And for that guy's case, Shikishima, it's to live for Akio and Nariko. Mostly for Akio, but eventually it came to also being Nariko too. Because even though he didn't marry her, even though he felt love for her, he didn't marry her because his fight wasn't over yet. But when it was finally over and finding out that she was alive, he was finally ready to move on. And that right there, guys, just, if that doesn't tell you how much I felt for this film, I don't know what will. It had good character progress, a few laggishness here and there, but they didn't keep it that long enough to make me really be like downgrading the film. And if I'm really to give this film a score, I will give it a 9.5 out of 10, or better yet, well, yeah, fan side of me, movie critic side of me, 9 out of 10. Like I said before, people, I don't give perfect scores on films. There's always room to do better. And yeah, what will make it go down in that 9 out of 10 criticism was, as I said, a little lagginess in some parts here, but they didn't stay there long enough for me to keep it that way. And then a bit of the stiff movement when it came to Godzilla. A little funny looking, but still, all around, still a good movie. And if that doesn't tell you enough, let me tell you how, in the fact, it is the highest movie in the box office in the terms of a Japanese film that has come here to the U.S. If that don't tell you, I don't know what will. But that'll be it for today, guys. And hey, if you enjoy my videos, all you gotta do is click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be notified when I make more videos. And until then, MegaGeekMixer signing out. Bye!